Hi, my name is Eventyr with Eventyr Games, the anime and time best-selling publisher of DM's Resources over at the DM's Guild, and also publisher of Wondrous Guide to Merchant Magic, a sourcebook for trading magic items in 5th edition, which you can find a link for in the description down below. In this video, I want to talk about skills in 5th edition. We recently put out a poll where we asked people what sort of content they felt were missing in 5th edition, and a few of the responses we got actually had to do with skill points and skills in general in 5th edition, some feeling that the way skills are handled isn't as satisfying as maybe it was handled in previous editions. Okay, so to just quickly summarize for newer players and DMs, the way that skills work in 5th edition is that you are either proficient or not proficient in a skill. So when you're required to make a skill check because you're climbing a wall or you're trying to steal someone's purse, you'll make a skill check using a relevant ability modifier that could be dexterity or strength, and your skill bonus. If you are proficient, you get to use your proficiency bonus. So if you have a proficiency bonus of 2 and you have a +2 dexterity, you'll roll a d20 and add 4 to the result, because 2 + 2 is, as we all know, 4. Now you can also of course have expertise in a skill, which is something that rogues, bards, some rangers and some other subclasses get, which is basically that you add twice your proficiency bonus to the skill check instead of just once. But that is more or less the whole range, the whole complexity of the skill system. You're proficient, you're not, maybe you have expertise, probably not. That's it. Now the obvious benefit of this skill system is of course that it's very simple. And that is a very big benefit. Let me say that it's a good benefit, especially for newer players who's just getting into the game, simply knowing, okay, I'm good at athletics, I'm not good at acrobatics, I'll add +2 here, I'll not add anything here. That's just really easy to remember. It's easy to keep track of. There is an issue, however, in my opinion, and that is the lack of diversity and versatility in the skill system. Especially if you are stuck with only 4 or 5 proficiencies, which a lot of classes and race combinations are. And that's something that I've often found to be a bit frustrating, maybe that it's too simple, because what if I want to be just moderately good at history? I want to get a skill point or 2 in there. And that's something that we've been a bit dissatisfied with moving from 3.5 to 5e a ton of years ago, of course. The feeling that you can't just get halfway decent at stuff anymore. You have to get either good or not good at everything. Especially at higher levels, you'll have characters who it feels like they should be just at least a bit good at swimming or stuff like that, because if you're doing it for so long, but you can't really add new skills later in the game as well. You're more or less stuck with the skills you have unless your DM lets you do some downtime and other stuff to give you new proficiencies, and then getting a whole new proficiency is actually a pretty big deal, because it's +5 to something, perhaps if you're up in the higher levels of the game. So the solution I came up with was simply to port skill points as we know them from 3.5 and bring that to 5th edition. Now skill points, for those of you who haven't played early editions, is basically that for each skill you could assign a number of skill points that was determined by your character level, so you would be limited for how many skills you could add to a certain skill, but you could sort of differentiate. I'll have 5 skill points in this and 3 in that skill and 2 over here and 5 here and so on, so you could sort of get a more varied feel for your character. You can spread yourself a bit thinner to maybe cover a few more bases, and that is sometimes something you want to do, sometimes it's not. Most of the time in 3.5 you would probably just max out your 4 preferred skills and more or less leave everything else alone, and that is perfectly fine, of course. Anyway, the thing is that it's actually pretty easy to convert skill proficiencies to skill points. I have a table I'll show you on the screen here, which basically takes every level of a character and then multiplies out how many skill points they would have at that level based on how many proficiencies they would have in 5e. So a character who has 4 proficiencies, that's 2 from your class and 2 from your background, which is the most standard combination. You can simply go down and say, okay, at 7th level you'll have this many skill points, and at 10th level you'll have this many, and so on. For a character with 10 skill proficiencies, such as a rogue who's also a wood elf with proficiency in blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you can also, again, go down the same table and figure out, okay, I'll have this many skill points at that and that level. What you do then is you simply cap each skill at the proficiency. So you can, at the first level, you can maximum have 2 skill points in any one skill. and the players can then assign the skill points as they see fit. You can limit it to only their class skills, which is listed for each character class in the player's handbook. Personally, I don't really care about class skills. I think it's weird. You can just take background skills that match, so you get the skills you want and stuff like that. So I just let my players take whatever skills they want and put their skill points wherever they want. Using the system for several years now, we've had some players, I'd say more than half of the players, usually just max out skills like they would with proficiencies, and that works fine. There's no difference. They can just assume it's proficiency, while other players are using this to say, okay, I have so many skill points, I don't have a strong need for any one skill, so I'll divide them up so I get a bit of acrobatics and a bit of athletics instead of having to choose one, for example. And it's something that doesn't take away anything from the game, in my opinion, but it can bring something, especially if you have a player who has a concept they want to explore, or they just want to be good at more than one thing. Now, there's two obvious downsides to this, of course. One of them is that it's more complex, so it's probably not something I'll force on new players. I think it's fine to just let them use the proficiency system, and then you can bring out the skill points if there's a mood for it and you think they're ready for it. And the other thing is that it does make characters slightly more powerful between proficiency bonus, because with the skill system you could say that at 4th level you could actually place the 3 skill points you've gotten since 1st level in other skills, and that would make you slightly stronger, or at least more versatile than a character at 4th level that is using proficiency bonus instead of skill points. Again, I don't think it's a huge deal, especially not if all of the players have the same options available. They can all use skill points, then you either use it or you don't, but it's up to you, so no one is getting cheated, so to speak. And I don't think that having a few extra skill points put into your skills is something that'll break the game anyway. As long as you cap it by the proficiency bonus anyway, there's no real way this can get out of control. So yeah, that's basically it. A system for assigning skill points instead of skill proficiencies. I'll leave a link to an article where I explain a bit of it in more depth, and also provide a table you can download with the skill point thingy. And yeah, for me, it's something that's been working out great in our games. I like it as well because I get to be more versatile and varied. For some people, it's maybe not their cup of tea. Let me know what you think. If there's anything you could do to improve it, or you think we should do to improve it, let me know. So yeah, that's basically the video. If you like what we do, you can follow along, subscribe, like, all that stuff. Support us on patreon.com/eventyr and get some cool 5e stuff. But beyond that, there's not a whole lot left to say, except thank you for watching, and I hope that I'll see you in the next video.